Garden tour, July 9th, 2023. As you can see, here's the garlic. Cut all the scapes off. Oh, finished them up the other day, so they're in the refrigerator now. I've already sold a few pounds of them. So I think last year the garlic came out about the end of July, first week of August, and things are a little bit behind by a week and a half because of all the rain and lack of sun that we've had so far this summer. So those will be coming out in a few weeks. You can see the lettuce here is doing pretty good. I harvested a couple pounds of that last week and sold it. It's very yummy. You can see the stuff on the back side, the black-seeded Simpson is about to be done. Maybe I'll get a few more leaves off those, but if not, the Butter Crunch and the Romaine are doing real well. That one's not looking so hot. I might have to pull that one out when I harvest tomorrow. The kale is kind of growing. It's coming along. Not as big as I'd like to see, but you know, we'll probably get some kale out of there eventually. The Swiss chard in amongst it is actually doing better, so we'll see how that goes. We've got some chard over here mixed into this pumpkin bed. Got some pumpkins in here. This is a big bed of Big Mac's pumpkins. Yeah, we'll see if we get anything off of that this year. Didn't get too much of the pumpkins last year. We've got some okra at the top of this bed here that are growing. Those are looking nice. Oh, what is this? This is the watermelon bed. Watermelon with some leeks and some Great Lakes lettuce amongst it. Those are coming along pretty good. I scavenged I think that's a buttercup squash from a friend's house. Hopefully I'll get some of those before the end of the year. We've got, and then this is a bed of winter squash and some more of that lettuce. And we actually, I think I interplanted some jalapenos here in this bed. And some more lettuce. A little bit of everything in this one. Oh, some leeks too. Yeah, I think this was the end of a few trays and I was just trying to sneak everything in. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some weeding in these beds. I did a quickie the other day, but a lot of it re-rooted because I just went through with my collinear hoe. And we haven't had the heat since then to be effective. So I'll have to weed these beds again. I'm not real worried about it. There's some more okra. This is a bed of cucumbers right here. This is doing okay. With some, these have got some bell peppers amongst them. Also some, I think that's black-seeded Simpson. Look at this, we got a volunteer. Or this might have actually been a squash plant from over here that washed down into the path, but I'm gonna let it do its thing. Yeah. Oh, there's some basil that managed to survive that I stuck in the end of this bed down here. Here is a bed of these are yellow zucchini down here at the end, surrounded by some radish. Looks like I stuck in a basil there. These radishes, I'm going to start harvesting these probably tomorrow. And we've got some summer squash in various states of coming along. I'm going to have to change these traps. They're a little flooded. I'll get back to it. There is, so I think this is probably zucchini up here. Not coming along as fast as I would like, but you know, it is what it is. Here is the tomato row, a couple of tomato rows. So on the left hand side are the slicer style tomatoes with some heirloom Paul Robesons down at the end. We've also got the cherry tomatoes on this side. And I actually planted some ginger. It's not looking too hot, but we'll see if maybe it recovers before the end of the year. I've also got some kale amongst the cherry tomatoes, some leeks. This I'll be able to take some of this Swiss chard this week. That'll be nice to add to the market. Tomatoes are getting bigger every week. I'm excited to start getting some tomatoes, and as you can see, we've got some new beds down here to add to the garden. You can see I've partially pulled back the tarp that covered the living mulch that I grew in this spot, the winter rye. Knocked it down a couple weeks ago, tarped it, and I just pulled it back and started building these beds. I've planted these are bush tomatoes here. They're not very happy. They got a little bit of sun scald, but hopefully they'll bounce back. With a bed of the rest of my bell peppers next to them. They're not real happy either. They didn't get hardened off quite right because it was so rainy. And then I planted them, and boom, 2 or 3 days of 90 degrees in a row. So we'll see. They'll bounce back, hopefully. This is a bed of beets. This is a bed of carrots. No, this is beans, excuse me, with a zinnia that I just planted. This is beets, and then this is carrots. And then this is another bed of zucchini and summer squash. And this is a bed that I just made today of shishito peppers. As you can see, well, maybe you can't see, but I'm going to tell you about it. I cut the dead rye out of this groove and then laid compost 4 inches deep, I'd say, 3 inches deep maybe. So, and I used the mulch that I cut out of the grooves up in to mulch the paths in the upper beds. So you can see the garden's really coming along. I'll go back up this way and check on the beans. They're looking pretty strong, lots of blossoms. Won't be long now, we'll have beans. Yeah, you can see here the paths are mulched with the straw I cut when I built these beds down here. Here's the celery with some random stuff stuck in, some dill, some okra, some cabbage, some lettuce. You can see I've got some romaine stuck in here. I think this was just a, once the celery was in, it ended up being a catch-all. Then we've got our Napa cabbage bed, which seems to have survived the flea beetles so far. Got some scallions in the middle that I'll be harvesting soon. This bed next to me here is this is the purple cabbage bed. It's got a bunch of past due radishes run down the middle that I'm going to pull probably tomorrow. Then we'll give these purple cabbage their space and let them run with it. Same thing goes over here with the green cabbage. Get some past due radishes. Luckily it looks like the cabbage, most of it survived the flea beetle attack early this year. So we'll get these radishes out of here and send these cabbages on their way. Here's the beets. I've already been harvesting beets. Sold every bunch I harvested last week. I'll have to harvest more this week. Carrot tops are looking pretty big. I'm going to have to test them in the morning and see if I've got anything to harvest yet. Oh, look at this. We've got our first peas. There's a pea. Nice. Pretty soon we'll be snacking on these. Let's see. Are there any peas to eat yet? I don't see any. Pretty soon. Beets are looking pretty good. Coming along. You can see here. We've got some beets starting to size up. There's some bigger ones in there. I found them last week. A little bit of treasure hunt and we'll get some. Here's the red onions with, oh, these are cantaloupe in between here. There's a few cantaloupe amongst the onions down here on this end. These are the yellow onions. And then at the top of the bed, oh, there's a couple stevia stuck in there. And at the top of the bed I put a cucumber, another cucumber over here, another cucumber up there. There's another stevia. Get some marigold at the end of the beds as usual. And here's the sunflowers coming along. Those will be out and beautiful before too long. I just planted this dahlia here today. Oh, I can see that I stuck some cucumbers in the sunflower bed. Cool. The more cucumbers the better. Now my direct seeded, just cut flower bed didn't germinate that well. I don't know exactly what happened. I've reseeded it a couple times. Maybe it's just not getting the right moisture or something, but the latest reseeding was just last week, maybe over a week ago. So maybe some of that will still germinate if I'm lucky, but as you can see here, I bought some zinnias and some dahlias and just stuck them in, let them take over the space and get some cut flowers growing. Some, you can see, that's a zinnia that did germinate, so we'll get some flowers. Hopefully this bed will come along. I've got some little daisies that I started from seed. Let's see if they survive. They're kind of tiny, but if I'm lucky I'll get something out of them. As you can see, the sunflowers. Yeah, this is what the ryegrass looks like after it's been knocked down with a crimping tool that I stepped on and tarped for 2.5 weeks about. I pulled the tarp back earlier this week, maybe a little over a week ago now, and you can see it's pretty much dead. Hopefully totally dead, but we'll find out how much of it grows back. Hopefully none, if I've done it right. So I've got spots to build 3 or 4 more beds here, so that's what I'll be doing over the next week or so. I might try to get some stuff in them and that I can still harvest before winter, or I might just leave them set and those will be the garlic beds that are prepared for this fall. So lots going on, lots of planting, keeping busy, harvesting food already. It's summer. It's looking pretty good. That's about it. Happy growing.